Hey friends, welcome to Alternative Homesteading. We have been busy, so I have been quiet on the channel, but we are back in the game now. So we have been renovating our garage. My husband had to come back home for work, and so we turned half of it into his office, and it just gave a bonus space for me to have a little office here. So I'm getting my tower starts set up on this shelf today. I'm getting the mushrooms moved in here, and we're just kind of getting back to normal. We set up a home gym. We have 3 older children, and my husband and I both working out. Just becoming kind of pricey to go to the gym for everybody, so we just got our home gym spaced up in this bonus space. And again, it was all because he had to have his new office over here, and that just allowed us this amazing bonus space. So now we have a home gym. Everybody's been really excited because we do live in a very small log cabin, and we love it. But having this bonus space, like the space we didn't know we needed, we're all loving it. So I'm going to give you guys a garden tour, and I'm going to be going back to making tons of content for you guys, growing food, all the different ways we can, tools, recipes, things like that. We are in a season, as I know I don't have to tell you, in a world of chaos. And how do we create calm and security in a world of chaos? It's, in my opinion, it's through preparedness. It is when we have systems in place, when we're focused on those things, the world doesn't seem as scary for me personally, because we're prepared. It's also one of the reasons, I'm super glad that everybody's going to be home a little bit more. We're not rushing off, because we live pretty far away from things. So we're not rushing off to go to the gym multiple times a week. 30-40 minute drive each way. Just keeps everybody a little bit closer, kind of saves on resources, keeps everybody a little bit safer. So if you're in a season right now where the news and all the things happening are making you feel a little bit eager to prepare, there is a time and place for all of that, and I think that is a calling, and so take those things seriously. But we never want to operate out of fear, right? We want to operate out of wisdom. So that's what I'm going to talk a little bit about. So how do we do that? How do we operate in calmness in a world that's so chaotic and uncertain, and not operate in fear? And I think one of the ways is getting your systems in order, whatever those systems are. It didn't have to be my systems, and my towers are one of the ways we replace a grocery store. So I'm going to give you guys a tour of those today, and all of our different systems today. We're going to go on a tour of all the different ways I grow food on this channel. But I really wanted to lean into the idea of how do we create calm in a world of chaos. Because the last thing we want to do is sit in the scroll and get buried in all of the endless information that's coming out. And we know, if you've been seeing the writing on the wall, we're not super shocked, right, on what's going on. That doesn't mean it doesn't create fear and anxiousness, and all that uncertainty is there. But we can operate in calm through a world that's chaotic. And for me, the way we do that is preparing, having a prepared home. And I talk a lot about that in this channel. I have had times of urgency in the past where I felt like we needed to get systems in place and needed to get these things done with a sense of urgency. And that might be where you're at, right? This is all a calling from the Lord, in my opinion, wherever you're at on that journey. I have those systems in place, and so for the last, I would say, 2 years, the calling has been the Lord saying, get your home in order. And I didn't even know what that meant, other than just maintaining our home and continuing to grow our systems and making sure we're managing things well in our home. And then this garage renovation kind of came out of nowhere. The garage was literally falling apart. We were going to lose it at the exact same time my husband needed to come home. And we had this amazing space that we could convert, and it's getting our home in order. It's bringing people back home. My son will be working here now, my husband, I am working here. We're doing our home gym here. It's keeping us home. and in our community instead of out and about as much, for financial reasons, for safety reasons, and just kind of leaning in. You know, sometimes I go out into the world and it's so clear the brokenness of the world we live in that it's upsetting to me. Just seeing the systems and how broken everything is, how expensive everything is, how, you know, people are sick and hurting and angry and fearful. And so just leaning into these spaces. And that's where the Lord's called us. And so stepping outside of the world, being set apart, right? Living a little bit differently seems very important right now to me. The world's changing. I saw some stuff where a lot of social media, a lot of YouTubes, a lot of things out there are AI generated now, and you can't even tell it's gotten so good. The channel's AI generated, the influencer is an AI influencer, the comments are AI. Like, so much of the world is becoming fake and unreal. It's hard to even discern the things that are real, which is why I try to stay off that scroll. I try to get my news from watchmen who put things in through a biblical lens, and really stay off the scroll, honestly. There's a couple of channels I'll just check in and maybe spend 10 minutes a day on the scroll in the world news, and then I go to those trusted resources for the rest, and, you know, just try to navigate it that way. So I think one of the ways we stay calm in a world of chaos is making sure we're not falling too deep down the rabbit hole of constant watching and information with it. To get a little more involved in these things, right? Growing food, finding ways, cooking food from scratch, finding ways to take care of our families, using the resources we have, having some resources. That one's a big one. So let me take you guys on a tour. I'll show you all of our systems, and I'm excited to be plugging back in. We had to take a little hiatus. I actually have new camera, new lens. Jess over Roots and Refuge always has the most beautiful videos, and my friend is a friend of hers, and I was like, I need to know her camera and lens because my stuff isn't working. And so I got her camera, the one she uses in her lens. Super excited about it. Hopefully it looks good, and just getting the hang of using it, so it'll be a minute. But excited to dive back into content, sharing how to grow food, using different systems, alternative ways to homestead, self-sufficiency, preparedness, growing food, making food from scratch, all of the things. So thanks for joining me. Let's go on a garden tour. All right, guys, we're going to start over in the permaculture perimeter forest first. Just I want to show you what a system looks like, what a permaculture system looks like early on, because it can be kind of messy in the early stages. So this is an old clay wall that was cut to make parking, and so I recently, after the hurricane, our local nursery was struggling and had a huge sale, so I went ahead and stocked up. So these are all fruit trees. I don't know if you guys can see those, but they have apples on them. There's blueberries, raspberries, blackberries was what we planted all throughout this area. They're doing so good. And it's weeds, right? And so I will cut down a lot of these wild weed trees that are growing in here and manage these things. I'm not going to do it this week because we're in the midst of a heat stroke, a real high intensity heat wave, and these weeds actually protect the plants. They're going to protect some of the plants from getting overheated, helping to shade the blueberries a little bit, and then once it cools off a bit, I will come clear these out. Some of the dead branches, I don't know if you guys can see that. It's hard to see in this lighting, but throughout the whole Appalachian forest, so many of the trees, it looks like fall with dead tips because of the cicadas. We had the 17-year cicada, and they kill the tips of the trees. So those will be fine. I'll cut those back. They'll naturally just fall off, and that's how the eggs go into the earth for 17 years, which is wild to me. We've got some artichokes down here, and so we just let the weeds grow, and then when it cools off, I'll come weed whack, get rid of all these weed trees. These trees have to go or they'll take over, and we'll just let all that mulch down, and we just let the plants we want get big and mature and kind of manage the ones we don't by keeping them trimmed up. And that's how you build a food forest. And then when the season's in the fall, I'll plant more plants into spots I want to fill, and we push out the weeds, or, you know, weeds, things that grow wild here, and replace them with the things that we want. Over there's the mushrooms, and they're doing amazing. All the mushroom logs. We actually just had a little rainstorm, which cooled things down. Over here, 13 towers. I've got 3 more going up this week. And some are on their last stretch, like they're looking pretty rough because it's all cool weather crops that are done. And some are just getting started for summer. This is a tomato tower. I've got some butter crunch lettuce on the top. Lettuce grows so fast this time of year. Some celery and peppers on the very top of that tower. And then mixed in here, there's baby collard greens. And so I will cut them, eat them as baby greens, and let them regrow. Maybe once or twice. There's a dwarf tomato on here, all sorts of different tomato varieties. This one over here is tomato and pepper tower. And then at the top, we've got some purple lady bok choys, Swiss chard, a pepper, lots of variety. Towards the top, I like to grow my lettuce and greens. It just does better. This one is eggplant and peppers with some purple lady bok choys along the top. Over here, this tower's got some nutrient issues and looks pretty rough. It just needs a good hosing. A lot of things going to seed, like the dill. That happened when I was out of town on a youth ministry trip. And I love dill seed in recipes, so I decided to go ahead and just harvest the dill seed so we can plant more dill and to have that seed. So this is an example of a tower. There's some stinging nettle, there's some tomatoes, there's some young seedlings I put in the top of that baby greens extension. Then we've got things like this gigantic kohlrabi that's done, right? These are ready to be harvested. So I'll harvest all the big things, clean it up a bit, and add more young new seedlings. This is another one, kind of a mix of summer stuff. There's tomato in there, young peppers, some things just getting started, lettuce, and then also some collards and a cauliflower that is ready to go. Another example, overgrown madness. Some needs to be harvested. Some is good to go. Look at that beautiful parsley though. This one has sorrel on it. This is sorrel right here. I love sorrel, but it gets huge and it grows well in the ground. So I'm probably going to put that one in the ground, and the nasturtium. These towers have a nutrient deficiency. I'm still having issues with my nutrients this year. Balancing those, and I honestly now I believe it's from those starts I bought, because look at this, that were in the cocoa core. That's a cocoa core one. I read that can throw your nutrients off, the cocoa core, and that's one of the reasons people don't like using cocoa core. And it is the only thing that makes sense, because I have never had issues with my nutrients like this. I've never had plants that just looked rough like the ones that I got from them that came in that cocoa core. So I will not be doing that again. I'm a rock wool girl all day long now. All right, so there's our big tower, and it is just a hodgepodge too. Some of these are like the winter crops that are almost done for the season. Beautiful celery towards the top, and then we've got our purple basil up there, chives up there. So we've got some younger things, greens here, younger things like the lettuce, but then we've got some seriously mature kale and things that need to be harvested and dealt with. So we're sort of in that turnover phase that happens where it's looks really messy, and then all of a sudden you can clean it up so fast and it's just like brand new and fresh. This tower is celery on this side, and then peas. And the peas, we're in a heat wave. They're going to be done this week. They're not going to be able to withstand this heat. So I will be pulling all the peas out, and I do have some new starts. I'm still harvesting every day this week. We're still getting a ton of peas. I actually did a huge harvest this morning. So I'm going to keep them going as long as I can, but I predict by Friday they'll be done. I have all of these seedlings I just got from Western Urban Farms. A couple of them are vining. Not many though, so I'm probably going to go ahead and start some vining cucumbers and vining green beans tomorrow and get those going. Those will pop off really quickly, and so when I take out these peas, I can get the green beans and cucumbers planted. I do have some butternut squash in there that's vining. Some of these are green beans, regular green beans, zucchini and yellow squash, and then a lot more peppers. And I had to buy a lot of these seedlings this year just because our garage was under construction. So as I pull out all these mature things, I'll just start replacing them with some of these seedlings. I'll probably give everything a little pressure wash in between the plants that are staying in there, clean everything out to the best of my ability, and then plant again. We do have cucumbers growing on here. Cucumbers, those are the pickling ones. Look at, oh my gosh, they've come up so fast because of this heat. We have a couple over here, cucumbers, which I'm so glad I did that because I'm late to the game on squash and cucumbers, and I had grabbed these right before we went out of town. Oh my gosh, look at cucumbers already ready from Western Urban Farms. And I'm so glad I did, because otherwise we'd have a real delay on cucumbers. Nutrients off. These, everything just got new water. These are turnips. Everything just got new water. And so I'm about to add nutrients and kind of balance everything out. This over here is also all turnips. Love turnips. I'm going to start some new turnips. I'm in a position I can start my own seedlings again. So that was celery and peas on that tower, turnip, parsley, and peas on this one, plus some cucumbers. These are some dwarf tomatoes. I have no idea where they came from, but I have a couple of dwarf tomatoes. Over here, another dwarf tomato. Lots of baby greens, cilantro, turnips, parsley, more cucumber, and on this side of the pea tower it is parsley. Some of it getting a little bit funky, so I'm about to harvest all of it. I'm going to cut it and let it regrow and see if that helps. I've never had parsley yellow like this, so I don't really know what's going on, unless it just got too hot. I'm not sure, but I'm going to harvest it all. We're going to eat it and then let it regrow until I start some new parsley. But again, look at the peas. The peas are about to be done for the season. So 13 towers. My goal was originally to have 4 of them extra tall this year. That did not happen. So maybe in the fall we'll get to 4 of them being extra tall. And then I was going to put 3 towers over in my raised bed garden. I am not going to do that anymore. Part of managing a lot of systems is microcultures. And so having all the towers in one spot so I can fill them, tend them, move plants as needed, keep an eye on them, harvest food off of them. Part of making that super easy when you have this many towers is keeping them all together, because they're not on an automatic feeder. And I don't think I want them on one. That's a whole nother thing to manage, and it's big, so I don't know. We'll see one day. But right now, I'm going to put those 3 towers here, and what I'm going to do is actually get 2 more trellises to go in between here, so there'll be 4. And then I'll scoot the towers down a little bit, and I've got room for 3 more towers on that end. And that'll just give me so much trellising room. That means I can do peas again in the fall. I can do vining green beans. I can do a second harvest of early fall cucumbers. Just gonna make where I can grow a lot more food. When we have vines, you have more room to grow food, right? You just get more food off of vines than you do a bush variety. Okay, over here, the permaculture edible landscape. Again, from here over, kind of wild. Won't be dealing with that. I'm always working on it and growing. And so I'm always planting new things, pulling things, moving things. But until the fall, that is what it is. We just chop and drop right now. So The catnip is going to flower. The wormwood's going to flower. All of that. The peppermint that's gone out of control. In another couple of weeks, I'll come hack all that back, cut all that peppermint back, make huge chop and drop, which means we make mulch out of it, and then it'll regrow another time. The flowers are coming in, looking beautiful. We've got calendula. This is bee balm blooming. And this area has gotten super wild. Everything's kind of grown into the towers. The towers are wild. They have tons of things that need to be harvested. This is a gigantic turnip. I'm actually gonna eat that. I'll share the recipe with you guys. And a strawberry back there. Gigantic turnip. We'll make a recipe with that. These onions are ready. I need to harvest the chives and dehydrate those. Everything's, you know, kind of like the other towers. Some things are beautiful and thriving because they're summer crops, and some things are winter crops that have had enough and are done. Along the base here, I had all these wild greens growing. There's my comfrey, and I'm letting it go to seed because I want to spread those seeds in the other perimeter food forest over there. So that's why it's kind of wild right now, but you can see it's made the seed pods. Many of them have already made, that's a mustard right there, all those seed pods. So that's just so many more greens. This is a mustard that I'm going to be able to spread by letting those go to seed. So we just let it get wild. Over here, that's elecamp. That's medicinal. Valerian root down there. Feverfew, comfrey, wild mustards, so many things. Basils, there's just so many medicinals gone wild. That's a mulberry tree that's been blooming non-stop all season. We have lots of little trees. This is a pear that I made a micro dwarf. That is a nectarine that I turned into a micro dwarf. Good stuff. Coming down the driveway, back through there, you might not be able to see them, but we have mushrooms. The mushroom logs, and I've actually been getting some wine cap mushrooms because I spread some wine cap spawn throughout that area. These are blueberries. We've been harvesting blueberries every day off of these two. These are my biggest producers of blueberries. And you can just see the abundance there. So many blueberries. So I just harvest every single day, put blueberries out on the table for people to snack on. Through this area, we have another wild herb area. There's comfrey in here, serviceberry. There's so many herbs in here, medicinals. But there's a lot of weeds too, and so I will do a clean out when it cools off a little bit. Just kind of get the weeds down a little bit so that the medicinals can take over. There's a tomato plant in here, some carrots that went to flower, wild garlic chives that have gone bonkers, so it needs a good cleaning, strawberries. And one advice, if you're going to do a lot of these systems like this, we're working with nature, so I don't let it stress me out that it's kind of weedy and out of control, right? Trying to manage that in the middle of the summer does nothing but cause stress, right? My plants are healthy. If it cools off, I'll come in. It takes me an hour. I can clean things up and let my plants get the weeds under control a little bit more around my plants. Then my plants will grow bigger than the weeds, and we push them out. I've got my raised beds here. Alright guys, my battery died and I'm still getting the hang of this camera, and I want to get a video out really quick just to get back in the habit of filming and posting for you guys. I will be doing a tiny house kind of a recap documentary for you guys. Most of them are finished at this point. Soon when we get to that, and I'm just going to start taking you guys along for the journey. So hopefully you will be here for it, and I'll be sharing all of the things on our daily life. How do we live a simple life in a calm, how do we live a calm, simple life in a chaotic world? When I was talking about those raised beds, for one is just not stressing and causing harm to us by trying to get things done too fast above our ability, right? Like my ability is to, I can only do what I can do. So as much as I would love to have all those raised beds finished and planted out right now, it's not the time to be doing that. It's super hot. It would cause tons of stress and so much like heat exhaustion and wear and tear, right? And so I'm just gonna lean into them when I can and set the goal to have them all put to bed by winter, right? So that we're still moving forward, but not doing it in a way that's going to like cause stress, right? Because we don't want to cause stress. We already have stress. We're trying to stay calm in a chaotic world, make our homes a refuge. If you're wanting to grow some of your own food, the systems I use, tower gardens, number one, they replace the grocery store. They are the most affordable, easiest way, and most abundant way to replace the grocery store. For me, by far. There is an initial investment. Obviously, I will put a link below, but overall, it's how we replace the grocery store. I could not grow the abundance of food that you guys saw, turnips, all these peas. I couldn't grow. If I had these in my raised beds, it would be like 2 towers worth of food. And I'd be pushing it. 2 towers. And all those raised beds you just saw is all I would have room for food-wise. And I have 13 towers of food. So that's why we grow using vertical aeroponics, because you can grow so much more. Plus, I could not grow turnips. They do terrible in the ground. I wouldn't have this food if I didn't have the towers. I would not have it. So that's why I grow in the towers, number one priority. Second priority is our permaculture food forest. That is our berries, our fruits, our herbs, our medicinals. Those are easy because once you get the system set up, like I showed you with the weeds, I'm just going to go weed whack those this week and get that under control. That's literally like an 1.5 hour project. I enjoy doing it. It mulches around those bushes and we just let them naturally grow and do their thing. And keep adding to those. I'm going to plant those seeds I showed you over in that area when they're ready. I'm going to take some things like the nasturtium and the sorrel here and put it in that garden. Anything I don't want to grow in my towers can get moved over there to be grown. The third system, those raised beds. Raised beds are super important. Where we're at, I just was wasting too much compost. It was too difficult to grow in the ground. It's not flat here. Raised beds, you kind of get them established. I've got the chickens and the worms to top off some of the compost every year, plus leaves and boxes. So that feels manageable to have some raised beds. So I'm really happy about those because I can do carrots and potatoes and garlic and onions are the main things I'm going to grow in there that I just can't grow in the towers. And I didn't get to show you guys my chickens. I'll show you guys those, but that's another food source. And so I will say, it is a time to get your homes in order, to get your systems in order. I think for some of us, the writing's been on the wall for a long time, so we're not surprised by what's going on. I predict there's going to be tremendous change between now and 2030. I've been saying that for a long time. And sometimes when you got to shake things up, you got to first cause a lot of order out of chaos, right? You got to cause a lot of chaos to get that order. And I think we're headed into that season of chaos. I think it's potentially this could be the launch into that season of chaos. Not that it's been not chaos prior, but to the next level of chaos over maybe not tomorrow, but over the next couple of years. So definitely get your systems in order, pray about it, but we can't lose our peace through these times either. And for me, keeping that peace starts with being prepared and keeping our homes in order and leaning into our homes. Pulling out some of those things of the world, not getting stuck in the scroll, and just leaning into the things that matter. So thanks for joining me, guys. I will see you on the next video.